Welcome to Elevating La Cultura podcast, a space where I talk with Latinas who are passionate about what they do and willing to share their wisdom with others to change the narrative, especially for the next generation. Each season is centered around different topics, but all with a Latina perspective. This is season 2, focused on health and wellness. So vámonos, and let's get into it. Hola, hello, and welcome back. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to be launching season 2. I've been working a lot on the back end of things after the first season. I've done a little brand refresh, so you can go to the website and check it out. Tell me what you think. And I've started recording the episodes for this season, and let me tell you, I didn't think that I could be more excited than I was working on season 1, but as I dream and put a vision to what I want this podcast and community to look like, I'm just so excited for the conversations, inspiration, and growth that will come out of this. Like I mentioned before, this season will be focused on health and wellness. As we see on social media and become more vocal about our own mental well-being, we might be realizing that the traumas and mindsets passed down to us from our family are not serving us today. A big reason why I'm doing all of this and creating this space is because I think about my kids and how I can do my part to create a better world for them. We might be thinking, well, I turned out okay, or our parents did the best they could. And those two statements might as well be true. I know I've said them before. But I ask you, what is your definition of okay? Yes, we function in society, we have friends, we are fine. But have you taken the time to think about how your life choices have been affected by your childhood? And if you have kids, are you thinking through that? And are you reconstructing what parenting is for them? I remember when I was pregnant with my first child in 2011, I sat down with my family and made a point to tell them that I was not going to tolerate any negative talk about me or my kids. I know Latinx parents like to tease or call us names according to the features of our personalities or our bodies. My father would call me cachetes, or sometimes cejas, because according to him, I had big cheeks and big eyebrows. Now, that is something obviously I can't control, and I know it was said in jest and not in a mean way, but it set me up for being self-conscious. So I told them that I didn't want them making any comments about how my child looked, and I was serious. And to this day, they don't talk negatively about how my children look, and they don't say anything to me or about me in front of them. That was the beginning of me standing up for my family and attempting to change the narrative around my parenting. While it was stressful to have the conversation, I'm glad I did, and it has given me the leverage to stand up for other things in my kid's life. So let's go back to the phrase, our parents did the best they could. Y sí, for me, es cierto. I know the statement is true because they did do everything they could to create a better life for us. And I'm so grateful for the sacrifices my parents made to change the narrative from their childhood. But it's also up to me to continue changing the cycles too. I will say that this takes work. It's so easy to continue the things that were done from my childhood because it's what I know. But if we take the time to think how things have affected us today, maybe we'll do the work to change, even if it's complex and messy and tricky to navigate. I'll share that on my father's side, I'm a first-generation daughter of an immigrant. He immigrated to the U.S. in his teens. From my mother's side, I'm a second-generation daughter of an immigrant. My grandfather was born in Mexico, but my mother was born here in Chicago. So I navigate the complexities of what it means to be first and second-generation daughter of immigrants. I've worked hard to make my father proud, as I'm thankful for all his hard work and sacrifice. I know how important it is to hold on to my Mexican culture and the fact that I can speak Spanish and travel to Mexico and know my family. But I also didn't have the experiences a lot of first generation kids have because my mother was already part of the American culture. So while I spoke Spanish and it was my first language, it wasn't a priority for me to speak every day when I grew up, since my mother and father both spoke English. My mother went to college and was educated in the medical field, and then chose to stay home to care for my sister and I. And while I'm the oldest, which does come with extra responsibilities and expectations, any other older kids here? Yep, we know. But I wasn't left to care for my younger sister alone, because my mom was home with us. So, estoy en medio. I straddle the complexities and the privilege that being a first and second generation daughter of immigrants has. And thinking through that privilege is important because I can better explain to my kids the privilege that they have because of the sacrifices my parents and grandparents made. It's important to think about this so we can process and have the words to pass on to other generations, especially as it comes to parenting. Many times I remember being called a perfectionist, and to me that didn't sound so bad. I mean, of course I wanted things to be excellent. Why is that so bad? I wore it like a badge of honor. But when I think about where that need to be perfect came from, it comes from the fact that when I did something wrong, I would get in trouble and be expected to correct it immediately. I remember living in fear of getting bad grades. I was only praised when I got good grades. Probably because I was constantly told that because I was a woman and a Latina, I would have to work twice as hard to get what other people were given. It's something that has stayed with me. I worked my hardest to get honors and to make my family proud. And when I would mess up, I would internalize it. So I was encouraged into being a perfectionist. And then as an adult, when I couldn't hide my stress and anxiety, I was told not to be a workaholic, not to take things so seriously. And that's when I realized that I had work to do in undoing the concepts and things I had believed and that had become my identity. And I had to do that because I was starting to see the same traits and anxieties in my kids. I had to take serious inventory if I wanted to change the narrative for my kids. This season, we will be hearing from many professionals in the health and wellness space. They will walk us through their journeys and the importance of being educated on the things that they do. Because while mental health is getting more normalized in our conversations, a lot due to social media, I feel that in the Latinx community, we still have a long way to go as far as healing ourselves and starting to dive deep into our past trauma that could go as deep and as far as the time of colonization, something we might not even realize is affecting our present day mindsets and actions. I really want people to come away with a better understanding of what health and wellness can look like from the Latinx perspective. This is something that many of us are trying to learn now as adults because it just wasn't a thing for our parents, so we didn't see it modeled growing up. We'll hear from a variety of experts that will help us understand wellness holistically from a mind, body, and soul perspective. It really is complex, but I'm excited to bring more light to this topic of health and wellness in the Latinx community for Season 2. Like I said, we have a really amazing lineup of interviews, and we really get into it. We talk about it all and dive deeper on some of the things I've touched on in this episode. So, subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode when it goes live. You can also watch on YouTube to see the passion behind our conversations. I also encourage you to share with others because the more people we have talking about health and wellness in the Latinx community, the easier it will be to make a collective change for a better future. There will be a new episode every Tuesday, so after you listen, feel free to take a screenshot to post on IG and tag @elevatinglacultura or send me a DM. You can also comment on our YouTube video if you watch online. I always like to hear from people and how they resonate with the stories that I share, so leave a review on Apple Podcasts so we can get more ears listening to these stories and we can continue elevating la cultura. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening, y nos vemos next week. Bye!